So I like the long prairie of the waiting. Underline prairie. Now, the meaning of the word is open grassland. Open grassland. Right on Jagriti? Open grassland. In brackets, right? Here, H-E-R-E, here, comma, time. Time, T-I-M-E. The literal meaning of the word prairie is open grassland. Okay. You have done in geography prairies of America. And Africa में जो open grassland है उसको savanna बोलते हैं. You know savanna. And जो अमेरिका में है वो prairies है. अमेरिका और यूरोप में है prairies. So prairie is basically American. और ये poet American poet है, if you remember. You look at the background. He's an American poet. Therefore, he is using the word prairie, which literally means the open grassland. Okay, जहाँ दूर दूर तक grass है. But यहाँ पे इसका मतलब है metaphor है. यहाँ पे prairie एक metaphor की तरह यूज है. यहाँ पे इसका meaning है time. एक ऐसा time जो कभी खत्म ना हो. So prairie is a grassland जो कभी खत्म नहीं होगा. खत्म होगा, but अगर तुम उसको दूर दूर तक देखोगे, so it will seem to be unlimited. Okay. So here metaphorically the word prairie refers to time, the time of waiting for somebody to come. So if a person is a patient in a hospital, that person may go on waiting and waiting and waiting for somebody to come and to help him or to show genuine concern and care. But the waiting period, that time is endless, like the prairies of America. Understood? Just like prairies do not end, they seem to stretch forever. Similarly, the waiting time of a sick person in a hospital seems to stretch forever. That time does never come. That time never comes when somebody comes and looks after the patient in a very concerned or loving way. That patient always feels isolated. So I like the long prairie of the waiting. Underline waiting and write down waiting to be taken care of. Waiting to be taken care of. I like the long prairie of the waiting. The forced intimacy of the self with the self. What is the meaning of intimacy? Intimacy means intimacy, closeness. Closeness. C-L-O-S-E-N-E-S-S. Closeness. Like if you have a very close, loving friend, then you can say you share an intimate relation with your friend. Okay. If you are at war with your brother, तुम्हारे भाई नहीं बनता, there is a distance between you, then you will say that I and my brother, we are not intimate. So intimate का मतलब है closeness. Okay. The patient in a hospital is waiting for somebody intimate to come. But eventually, that patient has to get intimate with himself or herself. So the intimacy has to be with the self. Okay. A person who is in a hospital realizes this bitter truth of life, that when you are sick or when you are about to die, then the closest person to you is you. So you are all alone. So when you are nearing death, then you are all alone. That is the bitter truth of life, which a hospital shows us. So the poet says, I like the hospital because hospital shows you the real truth, the bitter truth of life. When you are in the society, then some people try to show affection. Most of it is fake love, fake affection, or some kind of a care which is driven by selfishness. Selfish driven care. You look after your brother because the brother will also look after you. So there is some kind of a symbiotic relation. मैं उसका ख्याल रखूंगा, वो मेरा ख्याल रखेगा. You meet your friends because you know कि I will go out with him or I will play with him, so he will also play with him. So there is symbiotic relation. But when you are healthy and fit and your friend is completely, let us say, disabled. Okay. Your friend is completely disabled. Cannot get up, cannot run, is completely confined to a wheelchair or to a bed. What will you do? You will go and pay her a visit, pay him a visit, maybe go every few days, maybe go every day for 1 hour. But will you stop your life and stay there forever? So you will continue with your life. Only in your free time, you will go to meet the person. But the person will feel cut off. तब तुम देखना तुम उसका इंटीमेट नहीं हो पाओगे. अभी तुम हो सकता है अपने किसी फ्रेंड के साथ और पूरे दिन में 7-8 घंटा बिताओ, स्कूल में या कहीं पे भी. कुछ लोग होते हैं स्कूल फ्रेंड्स हैं, वही फ्रेंड घर के पास रहते हैं, तुम उनके साथ स्कूल में भी टाइम बिता रहे हो, टिफिन भी कर रहे हो, घर पे भी यार खेल भी रहे हो और शायद पढ़ने भी एक साथ जा रहे हो ट्यूशन. ऐसा भी हो सकता है. So you are spending your maximum time with that friend. That friend becomes very intimate. But if the same friend is in a hospital, then that friend will realize वो intimacy अब break हो जाएगा. So hospital is a place where the patient will have to wait for a long time, as if the person is in the middle of a prairie. And the person will realize that he must or she must become intimate with self. तो self का मतलब खुद से. ये एक forced intimacy है. कोई अपने मन से नहीं कर रहा. लोग मन से चाहते हैं कि मेरे साथ मेरा जो फ्रेंड था या कजन था वो रहे. But the patient will realize that I have no option. I have to be intimate with myself. I have to cry all alone. I have to share my thoughts with myself. Therefore, the term is forced intimacy. Okay, if you look at the term here, it is forced intimacy with the self, of the self with the self, which means forced intimacy of myself with myself. तो ये लाइन क्या शो कर रहा है? एरो देके लिखो वहां पे. Give an arrow beside this line. This line shows loneliness. This line shows loneliness in brackets, right? Patients are forced into loneliness. Patients are forced into loneliness, comma, and they must get intimate, and they must get intimate with their, they must get intimate with their, THEIR, with their own, OWN, selves, with their own selves, SELVES, full stop. Understood? They must get intimate with their own selves. खुद से, खुद के साथ ही मुझे सब कुछ शेयर करना. Then third line, each sick person, I told you already, each sick person is like a standing in the middle of a field, like a tree. So there is simile here, like usual. So it is simile, like a tree, wondering what happened to the forest. Tree means an isolated person. So tree here is the metaphor for a sick person, and tree refers, a forest refers to the society, basically, or
The society,
the friends and relatives,
so the members
environment.
or the other patients in the hospital.
Other patients, other patients are like my fellow trees, all lonely. ठीक है, उनसे तो मेरा कोई relation नहीं है, वो मुझे क्या intimacy देगा? You seek the intimacy of people whom you know and trust. It is not that people are selfish. It is that it is the nature of life that when somebody is sick, and here by sickness I mean seriously sick, that person will actually feel cut off from the rest. Okay, that person will feel cut off. That person will feel isolated. Because वो person चाहेगा कि तुम लोग सब मेरे साथ हॉस्पिटल में रहो, लेकिन हॉस्पिटल घर नहीं है, तो हॉस्पिटल में कोई परमानेंटली नहीं रह सकता. Nobody can stay with you in a hospital. Okay, go to the next stanza, page number 12. And once I saw a man in a lime green dressing gown. Now, this is the poet says, once I saw a man in a lime green dressing gown, which means he was wearing a dressing gown which was green in color, lime green, hunched over in a chair. So he was sitting in a chair in a slightly hunched position. थोड़ा सा झुका हुआ था. He was obviously a patient. Okay, a man who was not yelling at the doctors or pretending to be strong or making a murmured phone call to his wife. So this man was neither yelling at the doctors nor was he trying to be strong. Okay. Nor was he making a phone call to his wife. Why?
So because he do not have
He is not dead yet.
Sir, because he thinks that no one will help him, because he thinks that people are selfish. He's trying to process. So he does not trust him.
He has already processed it. ये जो है ना, ये है a stage when you have already given up. He has given up hope. Okay. See, हर चीज का ना एक 3-4 स्टेज होता है. Suppose if suddenly suppose if what happens now? Suppose if you take a person, a young person is suddenly diagnosed with a serious disease, cancer, और वो person को पता है कि अब वो ठीक नहीं होगा. तो शुरू में उसका रिएक्शन इस तरह होगा. In the first few days, the person will show denial. First, there will be denial. कि नहीं, गलत है, नहीं हो सकता.
कोई छोटा बच्चा है.
Denial है. नहीं, एज के लिए नहीं. वो पर्सन मानने से मना कर देगा. ठीक है. उसके बाद आएगा एंगर. The person will show anger. The person will be angry with God, angry with everybody. कि मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ, मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ. There will be anger.
Angry with doctor and everybody.
Okay. Patient will be angry. Patient means anybody who is suffering will be angry. और उसके बाद आएगा realization and then acceptance. ये 4 स्टेज है. जैसे मान लो कि अगर कोई पर्सन सडनली, अच्छा खासा पर्सन, उसको उसका रास्ते में एक्सीडेंट हो गया एंड ही wakes up in a hospital and finds that उसके पैर काट दिए गए. ठीक है. तो पहले तो तुम जैसे कि वो विश्वास नहीं कर पाएगा. So it will take him or her a long time to accept, which means पहले वो denial में रहेगा. He will be living in denial. इसका मतलब है कि shock, not accepting immediately. नहीं, ये सपना ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, जरूर कुछ है. He will try to deny it. Second will be anger, frustration, anger. Third will be, like I said, realization कि ये true है. ये सच है, अब मुझे ये रियलाइज हो चुका है. और फिर काफी टाइम लगेगा. Sometimes it may take years to accept it and to start living with it. Okay. उसके बाद क्या होगा? He will accept it and start living with it. नहीं, acceptance का मतलब क्या है कि अब वो हंस खेल रहा है वापस से. He or she may become wheelchair bound. वो कभी खड़ा नहीं हो पाएगा, लेकिन वो अपना नॉर्मल लाइफ लीड कर रहा है, फिर से हंस रहा है, खेल रहा है. ठीक है. So that acceptance may take many years. Understood?
So like in the second stanza, it was about one lady who lost her breath.
So actually, अब यहाँ पे क्या, there was a physicist, का नाम सुना, स्टीफन हॉकिंस, जिसने ब्लैक होल के बारे में बोला. तो स्टीफन हॉकिंस जो है, if you know that he was also like you, happily going to school and college. फिर when he was around 22-23, so suddenly he developed some nerve problem. तो उसका body paralyzed होने लगा. And within a few months, he became totally paralyzed. At the age of 25. उनका डेथ अभी हुआ था कुछ साल पहले ही, 4-5 साल पहले डेथ हुआ था. हाँ, तो 2-3 साल पहले उनका डेथ हुआ. Which means, and he died at a very like age of around 70. Okay, which means for around 50 years, he has lived like a statue. Imagine that. For around 45-50 years, उनको मोटर डिजीज हो गया था, न्यूरॉन डिजीज, तो he could not move at all. समझो, मूव नहीं कर सकते, मतलब हाथ भी ऐसे हिला नहीं सकते. So he has lived his last 40-50 years like a statue, but in a very active way. वैसे रह के भी he has taught the world, theories invent किया उन्होंने, books लिखे हैं. Understood? समझ रहे हो? तो बहुत ही इंस्पायरिंग है एक्चुअली, और अजीब भी लगेगा इसको सुन. He has talked to people. वो मुंह से बात नहीं कर सकता है. He cannot even move his mouth. But then certain machines say the only thing he can do is that he can move his eyeballs. और थोड़ा सा वो अपना उंगली से खुद से ऐसे कुछ दबा सकता है. तो मशीन से वो दबा के वो A बोल रहा है, B बोल रहा है. In this way he has also typed letter by letter. So which means he did not give up. He accepted that life and lived with it. Lived a full life. Okay. Following everything, following the news, सब कुछ फॉलो करना कि क्या हो रहा है वर्ल्ड में, कौन सा क्या डिस्कवर हुआ, सेइंग कि ब्लैक होल ये है, उसके बाद लेटर सेइंग कि शायद मैंने गलत बोला था. So he is like following the world normally. Yes, obviously he was supported by his family and everybody. वरना ये नहीं हो पाता. But this person here is a normal person living in a hospital. And the poet says, I also came across somebody who is sitting in a chair in a defeated way. In a defeated way. अब वो हार चुका है, तो वो डॉक्टर पे चिल्ला भी नहीं रहा. समझ गए? He is not frustrated. He is no longer crying out in frustration. कि ये क्या किया आपने, वो करो, ये मुझे दवाई दो. He is simply defeated.
Not even blaming his destiny.
And he is not even pretending to be strong. He is not even pretending to be strong. कि मुझे strong होना है, मुझे strong होना है. वो ये अपने आप को दिलासा भी नहीं दे रहा. He is not even pretending to be strong. He is not even making a call to his wife. He is simply lying there in a defeated way. So in this stanza, the poet is sending out how one feels helpless and hopeless. Okay, so arrow देके लिखो beside this stanza. ये पूरा stanza है. This stanza is about. This stanza is about the feeling of. This stanza is about the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. This stanza is about the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. All right, which means the person here who is wearing a lime green gown, तो ये lime green gown वो ड्रेस है जो हॉस्पिटल से दिया जाता है. He is not even wearing his own dress. It is a hospital uniform, the uniform of a patient. And this person probably has been there for a long time. Probably he is suffering from a terminal disease. Okay, terminal disease का मतलब है कोई भी disease जो life को terminate कर देगा, life को खत्म कर देगा. उसका ठीक होने का chance नहीं के बराबर है. Some kind of a disease, cancer हो सकता है. Okay, lymphoma वगैरह, they are all different types of cancers. अभी देखो 2-3 years back ऐसा हुआ था इरफान खान को, वो जो एक्टर है, उसको भी ऐसा कोई कैंसर टाइप का हो गया था. फिर तुम्हारा ऋषि कपूर को हुआ था, रणबीर कपूर के पापा को. उनका हालांकि एज बहुत ज्यादा है, तो मर गए. बट हाँ, तो मर गया ना, क्योंकि टर्मिनल डिजीज था. तो टर्मिनल डिजीज का मतलब है a disease that is likely to terminate or end your life. Okay, understood? So some people can survive also. Yuvraj Singh था एक क्रिकेटर.
हम लोग की स्कूल की एक मैम भी है कैंसर से बचते हैं.
फिर तुम्हारा उसको जानते हो, इमरान हाशमी एक्टर. उसका बेटा बहुत छोटा था, 4 साल का था, 3-4 साल का था, 5 साल के अंदर. तो उसको उस समय हो गया था कैंसर. तो वो कितना, मतलब he had become so depressed. उसको उसने एक बुक भी लिखा है, ऑटोबायोग्राफी. And it took him years and years, many years, 3-4 years का struggle था पूरे. But the child has pulled through. Okay, so please remember this. ये आता है कभी-कभी prepositions में. That he was in the hospital for many days, but finally pulled a dash. तो pulled through का मतलब है to survive. Okay, to survive. So some people pull through and some people succumb. So this person here is a person who has mentally given up. He is no longer making a phone call to his wife and talking in murmurs. He is not trying to make any contact with anybody, mentally given up. So hospital is a place where you come across different types of patients. Now, if the question comes in your exam that what are the different kinds of patients or different types of people one comes across in a hospital, तो यहाँ पे हम लोग की है that number one, there is a mother with cancer. So one type of person is mother or any such woman who is suffering from cancer or any similar disease, any similar terminal disease. And this patient is suffering from the problem of having to tell your kids. तो एक तरह के पेशेंट वो होते हैं जो इस डिलेमा में है कि मैं कैसे ये बात अपने बच्चों को बोलूं कि मैं अब मरने वाली हूं या मरने वाला हूं. तो एक तो वो है, हाँ ओके, एक तो वो है. दूसरा है सेकंड, यहाँ पे जो था, द बाल्ड गर्ल gazing downward at the shunt installed above her missing breast. तो दूसरा पर्सन वो है जो ठीक तो हो गया है, उसका सर्जरी हो गया है, उसका हार्ट सर्जरी हो गया है, लेकिन उसने अपना ब्रेस्ट खो दिया, विच मीन्स किसी का कोई ना कोई बॉडी का पार्ट चला गया. जैसे मैंने जो एग्जांपल दिया कि हो सकता है कि किसी का एक्सीडेंट हो जाए, वो उठे हॉस्पिटल में और देखिए वो बच तो गया है, उसका पैर चला गया है. So that is one more kind of patient, the patient who is suddenly realizing that कल तक मैं ठीक था, but today I have lost an important organ or part of my body in this condition. Okay. Then one person is the crone in her pajamas with an IV pole. So one person is a person like an old woman or an old man who now is dependent on the IV या the intravenous, which means अब उसे खाने के लिए उसके बॉडी में ग्लूकोज चढ़ा रहेगा, शायद वैसे ही रहेगा. So that is one more kind of patient जो जब तक ठीक ना हो जाए, that person is dependent on that external glucose. Okay. Then we have the kind of people who are there, maybe वो काफी टाइम से हॉस्पिटल में है, and that person has gone into a state of introspection. What is the meaning of introspection, Kunal? Introspection, Shreyansh. Introspection, Namrata. Okay. Yes, Kunal. Aditi, what is the meaning of introspection? Introspect का मतलब है खुद के अंदर झांकना, अपने बारे में सोचना, अपने लाइफ के बारे में रिफ्लेक्ट करना. कब मैंने सिट की तरह एक्ट किया और कब कब मैंने गलत किया या आई हैव एक्टेड फूलिशली. So you also get a patient or a type of patient who is introspecting and thinking that when did I act like a saint and when like a fool. Then we also come across such patients who are waiting like a tree waits in the middle of a field. यानी उसके अंदर एक होप अभी बाकी है, लेकिन पोएट ये जानता है हाँ नम्रता, कैन यू हियर? पोएट ये जानता है that the poet realizes or the poet knows that this wait is going to be futile. This wait is going to be futile. Okay, futile means fruitless, waste. ये कितना भी वेट कर ले, सब लोग अब कभी नहीं आएंगे. एक ट्री कितना भी वेट कर ले, in the middle of the field, the tree will never be able to join the forest. And the forest will never come back to the tree. Okay. Then he talks about another patient. This patient is a patient who has given up hope. He is a defeatist or has basically accepted defeat. This patient has internalized defeat. Then go to the next stanza. But one crying. Sobbing का मतलब लिखो crying. But one person is crying without shame. Arrow देके लिखो. Not even trying to be strong. He is crying without shame. Shamelessly crying. Not even trying to be strong. So not even trying to be strong and doing this. And in the balance. Pumping it all out. Pumping it all out from the bottom of the self. मतलब वो अपने bottom of the self मतलब अपने दिल के गहराई से रो रहा है. Pumping it all out. सब कुछ बाहर निकाल रहा है रोते रोते. Okay. So arrow देखे लिखो वहां. The second line का meaning. Expressing his innermost feelings. Expressing his innermost feelings through his tears. Expressing his innermost feelings through his tears. Understood? So this patient or this person is crying shamelessly, expressing his suffering through his tears. The overflowing bilge. Bilge मतलब लिखो. Here it tears. Here it means tears. Hello. मतलब नहीं तो उसका ना 245 का ना. बिल्ज का एक्चुअली मीनिंग होता है एक शिप में एक बिल्ज वाटर होता है जहां पानी जमा हुआ रहता है. बट हियर इट मींस ओवरफ्लो ऑफ टीयर्स. तो यहाँ पे जो इसका मीनिंग है वो लिख लो. ओवरफ्लो ऑफ टीयर्स. ऑफ हेल्पलेसनेस एंड रेज. श्रेयांश, रेज मीन्स एंगर. तो उसमें वो एंगर है, गुस्सा भी है और दुख भी है. ये मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ. हाँ. A man knows expecting to be saved. Now he knows that he will probably not survive. Therefore, this realization has sunk in. He is realizing that he will probably not live. And he is constantly crying. He is emoting himself, expressing himself through his tears. एक होता है तुमने मन के अंदर ही उदास हो, एक तरह का वो उदासी है, और दूसरा है तुम सब कुछ बाहर निकाल दे रहे हो रो के. Okay, so the poet says that I also came across a person who cried himself out, fully exhibiting his rage and helplessness. जो प्रीवियस पर्सन है वो भी उदास है, उसको भी पता वो नहीं बचेगा, लेकिन वो स्टैचू बन गया है, ज़ॉम्बी बन गया है. वो चुपचाप बैठ गया चेयर पे, not even calling his wife, not even pretending to be strong. This person is the opposite. This person also knows that he won't be saved, but this person cannot contain himself. He is pouring his heart out through the medium of tears. Line लिख लो यहाँ पे. He is pouring his heart out. He is pouring, P-O-U-R-I-N-G. He is pouring his heart out through the medium of tears. He is pouring his heart out through the medium of tears. Okay, and then look at the last stanza. But if you looked, you could see that he was holding his own hand in sympathy. Sympathy में कोई और उसका हाथ पकड़ने के लिए नहीं है, वो खुद का ही हाथ पकड़ रखा है. Understood?
The same person.
हाँ.
हॉस्पिटल में ना कुछ सफर करे, ना उसकी बाइक उसके साथ में, ना कोई रिश्तेदार उसके हाथ में, तो
नहीं, लोग हैं वहां पे, लोग आते जाते हैं, बट लाइक आई सेड ना कि हर कोई आ रहा है, बट हर कोई जा रहा है वापस जीने के लिए. उसे पता है कि मैं वापस जीने के लिए नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं अकेला मरने वाला हूँ. So that when you know that when you exit the world, you exit alone. Like when you were born alone. You were not born with your friends and all. सब अलग अलग पैदा हुए. तो पैदा तो हो गए अलग अलग. उस समय तो कोई मेरा अटैचमेंट नहीं था किसी से, लेकिन जाते वक्त मुझे मेरा अटैचमेंट है सबसे. It pains me to detach myself from them. Okay, the detachment is difficult. That is the reason why जो monks होते हैं, जो लोग पढ़े गौतम बुद्ध, महावीर, जितने भी monks हैं, disciples, Buddhists, हम लोग उसमें पढ़े थे, उपा, तो they are detached. I told you ना, they are detached. वो कह दिया कि मुझे नहीं चाहिए बेड, नहीं चाहिए मुझे, मैं सड़क पे सो जाऊंगा. याद है ना? He was detached. He said that I prefer the dusty road. I do not want any wine, any woman or any material comforts. Because तुम जब अटैच कर लोगे अपने आप को, फिर जब तुम डिटैच करने जाओगे, कब डिटैच करने जाओगे? तुम जब मरोगे. फिर मरते वक्त ना तुम्हारे साथ वुमेन जाएगी, ना ही वाइन जाएगा, ना ही पैसे जाएंगे, ना ही कंफर्टेबल बेड जाएगा. उस समय तुमको सिर्फ पेन मिलेगा. So the monks or monk like people, they learn to live a life of detachment. They try to endure pain and suffering. कि अगर मुझे अभी सफर करना है, बारिश के नीचे मैं सोऊंगा, डस्टी रोड पे, उबड़ खाबड़ जमीन पे मैं सोऊंगा, so that I can die easily. I will not feel this transition. Okay. Anyway, so here you could see that he was holding his own hand in sympathy, listening to every single word, and he was telling himself everything. वो खुद से ही बात कर रहा है. He is trying to tell himself all the words of consolation and sympathy. अच्छा, यहाँ पे नीचे लिखो, below this stanza. He has no one. He has no one to whom he can depend. He has no one to whom he can depend. Full stop. Change para. Through this poem, comma, the poet expresses through this poem, comma, the poet expresses the harsh reality. The poet expresses the harsh reality of today's world. Where we are all alone. Where we are all alone. And we have to face FACE. We are all alone, and we have to face our needs all by ourselves. We have to face our needs all by ourselves. Understood? ये इस पोएम का gist है, इस पोएम का summary है. We are all alone. We have to face our needs all by ourselves, and we realize this only when we go to the hospital. That is why I like the hospital, because it reflects the truth. It holds a mirror to society. Understood? So the kind of question that can come is discuss the different types of patients the poet comes across, or what truth does the hospital show us? Why does the poet say that he likes the hospital? एक ही मतलब है, पूरा summary type इसका आंसर है. Understood?